Now, before I continue, I did have a question about the patient education, and it was, here, actually, let me go back to it. So does the note still state that the education was printed or sent to the portal? I believe so, but let's test it out. So here I'll select my education. Let's click to send it to the portal. And let's check out to see if it still added that note in treatment. All right, it doesn't look like it did. Let me test it out also from treatment. All right, so it looks like it added the note when I accessed it from treatment, but not from the assessment. And you can put in a support case if they haven't fixed it already. So I would check your system, and if you're having the same issue as me, I would put in a support case. The next enhancement is for in-place notes, and this feature is specific to 11E only. An in-place notes feature has been introduced to several sections of the progress note, enabling you to quickly add information with fewer clicks. You'll see it available in HPI. The little icon looks like a plus sign, and it's right next to that yellow caret. You can also see it under examination, assessment, treatment, next appointment, visit code, and procedure codes. So it's just a quicker way to document by clicking the plus sign. Your default category will be selected, but you can change it. And then add your notes. Then I can go to the next thing. In this example, it's my examination. So my default examination is selected. I can click into add my notes. I can still add my defaults. And notice where I have the little mics, that would mean I can dictate. I can merge defaults. Now all in-place notes, additions, and changes are saved even if you move from one place to another without saving, without clicking OK. So let's say I go to a different item. Then it would still save it over there. So So if I look at the exam, you can see it was still added even though I didn't click OK. And it's going to save you a few clicks. So for example, I can add it through there instead of going to HPI, finding my podiatry category, and then adding my note. And then we have a question. How do you determine what the default is? You can set the defaults in your My Settings. Let's click the ECW menu on the left, File, Settings, My Settings. Let's go to our user settings. And at the bottom, you can set a default HPI category and a default examination category. So every user can configure their own defaults there. Also, this feature is enabled by Item Key. Now mine was turned on by default, but if you don't have it, you can contact support. Refer to Item Key code 4074. And again, that applied to the browser version only. The next enhancement is that you can search keywords using only one character. I'll demonstrate by showing chief complaints here. So you can start typing and it starts searching results right away. In the past, you had to type at least 3 characters to start getting results. And that applies to both versions, browser and exe. Next, you have Progress Note additional options. These are the next enhancements that we're going to look at. So one of the enhancements is related to addendums. When a locked progress note contains an addendum, when you look at the encounter from the drop-down list, the little lock icon shows red. So that's a visual indicator to let you know an addendum has been added. And when you go to that note, at the top it also tells you in red that it contains an addendum. When we look at the encounters from the encounters window, you'll also see the red lock here. So again, that indicates it contains an addendum. You can clear addendums. That's the next enhancement. To clear an addendum, you'll go to the addendum submenu on your bottom toolbar and click to clear the addendums. This enables providers to clear any addendums added in error. Users must have permission for the security attribute called permission to clear all addendums for a particular encounter. Without that setting, you won't be able to clear. The next enhancement is View Print Logs. A new View Print Log feature has been added. You can access it from the Print submenu on your bottom toolbar, and you can click View Print Logs. And you'll be able to see them here. You can see the user that printed the progress note, the patient, the encounter date, the print type like progress note, the logged status like completed, and the print date. And you would be able to sort by any of these columns by clicking the arrows. The next enhancement is related to the California print style for printing prescriptions. The Controlled Substance Prescription Form for the state of California now displays checkboxes for refills and quantities to indicate the refills and number of units prescribed. You can set the California print style in your practice defaults. Let's go back to the progress note and click the Details submenu. You can access the California Doctor's Report PR2. This option has been added to the Details button of the progress note, enabling you to request treatment, diagnostic test, or other medical services for injured workers. This doctor report form is a state-required form and is only applicable to practices in California. Next, we have enhancements made to our access logs. On your bottom toolbar, you can click the Details submenu and first generate the access logs. And then you can come back and view the access logs. And some enhancements have been made here. The Progress Note access logs now display the status of medications prescribed from the treatment window. So you'll not only just see the medication, you'll see the status like start, continue, stop, increase, decrease, etc. The Actions column of the Progress Note log window has been enhanced to display additional information on the following sections: problem list, allergies, current medications, history, histories, and assessments. So the system now will display the source information from where the information is being imported, if any, for the aforementioned sections. So for example, let me close this. Let's say you are viewing a patient that you received an electronic referral. You'd be able to import data to your progress note from the referral itself. Or for any histories, you can import the history from the History tab. Or if you have a health information exchange, you can import that information. And so the logs will now track where the information was imported from. You might see imported from the EHX, that's your Health Information Exchange, or imported from the right chart panel. Another enhancement is a new specialty form has been added. I can access specialty forms from the bottom toolbar. Click the Ink submenu, Specialty Forms. You'll find it under General. It's that Accounting of Disclosures. This form enables you to capture information on the treatment, payment, and healthcare operations disclosures. And that's related to your meaningful use MIPS. Next, we have Smart Form enhancements. Excuse me, hold on. Thank you for holding. My throat got a little dry there. Okay. So before we go to the next thing, we did have a question. It says, does that include P2P records received? If you're talking about the access logs, so that enhancement was if you imported the information into the note. So to do that, it would be from the P2P referral. Well, actually, you might have P2P patient docs here. So if it does allow you to import it from here, then it would include that. I can't remember at the top of my head if I can or not. But if you received an incoming P2P referral, you would see it through here and you would be able to import data from it. So if you can import data into your note, it would log it and show the source info. Okay, we have enhancements related to our smart forms, and one is the tobacco control. New community data elements related to the tobacco smart form have been added to the application. For example, when you choose former smoker, it asks more questions than it did before, like, when did you start? When did you stop? How long has it been since you last smoked? Before you can see these new options, they have to be mapped in your community mapper. Please review the user guides for information on mapping. I will also demonstrate it a little bit here in one of the next scenarios. Our Audit C smart form has also been enhanced. The Audit C is your alcohol screening. A decline to specify option worth 0 points has been added for several questions. Again, you'll need to map the new options in the community mappings before the options are available. You can map your smart forms by clicking the ECW menu on the left, Community, Mappings. In EXC, the community mappings is just at the top. And then we'll go with smart forms. And you'll select your smart form. For example, our Audit C. And you'll select your matching questions. And click Map. Here, I just have to make sure I'm choosing the correct one. And so in some of the questions, they've added a decline to specify. So let me just kind of look at let me look at another example. All right. So you'll select the matching questions, and these items are mapped. So I select Never, Never Map, Monthly, Monthly Map. And these should already be mapped for you. The enhancement is they've added this decline to specify, so you need to map that to your local list. And more than likely, you probably don't have it in your local list. So to add it, select it from the left and click Add. That would add it for you and map it. And so now that would be available on your form. We also have an enhancement to the PHQ2 form. And let me open a new progress note. In 11E, I can access my smart forms at the top by clicking that little smart form button. So they've added this PHQ2 2015 edition. In EXE, your smart forms are on this drop-down. So you have the PHQ2 2015 edition. So this new form has been added. Before you can use the form, it has to be configured. And the form is configured from the form itself. You won't find it in the Smart Form Mapper. So when you first open the form, it'll look like this. It'll say all of the elements have not been mapped, and you'll click here to map PHQ2 2015 edition. You'll see a pop-up called Smart Form Mapping Utility, and you just have to click Create and Map All Elements. So it's going to do it for you automatically, which is nice. And then when you open the form, it's still the 2 questions. The PHQ2 is your 2-question depression screening, but they've enhanced it to include a scoring. And so that's related to the meaningful use MIPS, I believe. When you try to save the form with a score of 2 or higher, the system would automatically open the PHQ-9 form. This enables you to easily capture the required information for the depression screening. Again, the difference between this one and the old form is that scoring range. So now if I try to access the regular PHQ2 form, So when you try to open the regular form, you'll just have a link to access the new one. Next, we have enhancements related to immunizations. Let's go to our immunization setup by clicking the ECW menu on the left, EMR, Immunizations, Therapeutic Injections. So we can come here to configure our immunization therapeutic injection validations. This is where you can come to configure what fields are mandatory to document based on the status of that immunization. And they've now added the NDC code. So if you want that to be mandatory for pending or administered or any other settings, you can enable it. Next, let's go to our lot numbers by clicking the ECW menu on the left, EMR, Immunizations, Vaccine lot numbers. You can come here to add lots to your system, and they've added a new lot type of public vaccine stock. The NDC code now displays on the patient vaccine admin record. Let me open that up. And let's say I want to fax the immunizations, the immunization form. So that's the patient vaccine admin record. And if an NDC code has been added for any immunizations, that will now be included on that record. The next enhancements are related to the release concurrency lock. So the concurrency lock itself is not a new feature. It's always been available. That applies when two or more users access the same window for the same patient at the same time. So if I open HPI and then at the same time you try to open HPI and document, the window would be locked for that second user. A message indicating that the window is locked displays for the second user, and after a specified time period, the second user receives a message which they can override to still access the window. So this is a feature that prevents losing data. If I'm documenting here and someone else opens the same window at the same time, and then I come and close the window and they still have it open, then the system is going to clear what I wrote and just add what the second person updated. And so the concurrency lock feature helps to prevent that. So the enhancements to the concurrency lock are as follows. They've extended the concurrency lock feature to include the interactive clinical wizard here on the right. For sections like problem list, allergies, and history, areas that you can merge into the note. So for example, let's say user A clicks the import button next to the problem list, or allergies, or the patient's history. At the same time, user B opens the assessments or allergies or history from the progress note. In this scenario, that concurrency lock pop-up message displays for user A, the one that's importing. They'll get a pop-up message that someone is accessing the information, and the pop-up message has also been enhanced. The date and time of accessing the section displays on the pop-up window. So it says Sam Willis is accessing this section since 4/19/2018. Any actions you may take may override those of the other user. Another enhancement is that the default selection has been removed from this pop-up. In previous versions, the default selection to the concurrency lock pop-up window was set to no. So if you didn't make any selection, no was selected, that you did not want to access the section. That has been changed. The default selection no longer applies, and you have to click either yes or no. The Release Concurrency Lock button has been extended to the Progress Note Details menu. So you can click the Details submenu, Release Concur Lock, so that those with access can release the lock at any time instead of waiting for the time to expire. Before, you could only access this window from the ECW menu on the left. Another enhancement that when you go to release the concurrency lock, the window now displays the name of the patient and the encounter date. And then we have a setting in My Settings related to the concurrency warning. Let's go to the ECW menu on the left, File, Settings, My Settings. We'll go to the Warnings tab, and you'll see that warning. Do not show concurrency warning message for the same user. If this box is checked and the same user accesses the same window of a patient from two different machines at the same time, the concurrency lock warning message would not display for that user. All right, and finally we have some enhancements related to the problem list. I can access the problem list from the Interactive Clinical Wizard here on the right by clicking the ellipsis. A new problem list type options have been added. So for each problem, you can add the type of diagnosis, condition, finding, symptom, disorder, finding of functional performance activity, cognitive function finding, or complaint. New workup status options have been added, unknown and differential, and new clinical status options have been added, recurrence and remission. Another enhancement is that all of the clinical statuses will display for any diagnosis, like any problem. In the past, the list that displayed here depended on whether that problem was configured as chronic or acute. Now you'll see all the same options for all the problems. You also have enhancements to the problem list logs, which you can click by clicking View Log at the bottom. The problem list log now keeps track of the following activities. If you copied the problem list, so here you have that copy to medical history, for example. If you viewed the problem list, you have auto-assigned SNOMED, record modified, so you can see what action was taken. And a sorting feature has been added, enabling you to sort the log in ascending or descending order. So you can click on any of these columns to sort by that column. When you see the arrow, it's sorting by that. And you can click the arrow to reverse the order. And these enhancements are related to meaningful use. Let's look at one more. Well, I guess technically two more. And then we'll be finished, and then I'll take the rest of the questions. All right, so notice on the Overview tab, I'll see this problem list SNOMED here. And it's blue, so that means everything is mapped. Let me open it and clear some of these options. eClinicalWorks has developed a utility that can be used to locally map the ICD-10 codes from the patient's active problem list to the SNOMED codes. These SNOMED codes are saved onto your database and will be transmitted during the transition of care. This is relevant for meaningful use. So if your patient has problems that are not linked to a SNOMED code, that link shows red with an exclamation mark. Click on it, and it will map it for you automatically. So notice the one I cleared has the SNOMED code again. You can clear any mappings and manually assign it yourself, but again, this utility will map it automatically. So when we save, it now shows blue, meaning it's okay. Now you can access this utility in the report console as well, and that allows you to do it for all of your patients at the same time. Let's go to the ECW menu on the left, Reports, Report Console. And you'll look under SNOMED Utilities. You'll see that AutoMap SNOMED codes for all patient problem list entries with missing SNOMED codes. We advise that this report be run after hours. So you can select specific patients by adding their account numbers and separating them by commas, or you can apply to all patients. So you just have to click Process Missing SNOMED, and it runs the utility. So we can close that, and you'll be able to see the details of the report if you go back. So you'll enter your job ID, click View Status, and it tells you, how many codes were affected and so on. Let me go back. Now, if any codes remain unmapped, you can view them. You can view the unmapped list. All right, so that's everything we had to cover. If you have any additional questions, please get those typed in. And we do have a question here. It says, can you turn the release concurrency lock option off in security? Let's go check our security settings. So you have a security setting called Allow to Release Concurrency Lock. It looks like that's the only security setting here. So if you have that permission, you can release the lock. Now, if you want to turn off the feature, it would be done through item key. So you can open a support case and ask them to disable it. How long is the concurrency lock? Ooh, I'm not certain about that. It might be 15 minutes. I'm not 100% on that. And it could be possible, I'm not sure, that you can customize the time. So when you ask that the feature be enabled, remember it has to be done through item key, so you have to contact support. You can ask if you can customize the time. Another question for item keys 2022 and 3069, is that only available in browser or exe also? I'm going to have to look and see what those item keys are. Do you know what features they are regarding? And what is the item key number for the concurrency lock? So to enable the concurrency lock feature, it's item key code 0436. That enables the concurrency lock. For item key 2022 for the confidential, so that confidential feature did apply to both browser and exe. The 3069 was the calendar feature for the follow-up appointment that also applies to both features. Another question, that applies to both versions, browser and exe. Once the new structured for allergy comes in, what will happen to the old structured? So nothing will get deleted. It will just be, I guess, like from now on, when you're adding allergies, you have to select them from your drug database. But I don't believe it's going to affect anything you've already added. We have another question. How can we activate GoodRx and how to activate PDMP? You'll go to your product activation page, admin on the left, product activation. So you have that PDMP here, a prescription drug monitoring program. connects to your state's prescription monitoring program through the PMP gateway. It says to please contact Apprius directly for your state's availability. So it would get activated here. I don't have much more information on that. GoodRx is also activated. You can activate it for free. And you can see it when you're prescribing medications. So let me go into the progress note here. And let me add some medications. And let's go to the send. So once you've activated that GoodRx, you can see it in the comments send. So I can click on it. And so if there are any coupons, it'll give me access to those. Here, let me make sure I'm choosing a medication with an NDC code. Again, I don't have more information about PDMP. You can try your support portal. I don't believe it was included in the, maybe it's been included in the newer version of the release notes. It might also have its own like user guide. So if you can't find anything on your support portal, you can try a live chat and see if they have any documentation. Where do you see it if you don't use the common send? You mean like if you're in EXE? So you do have the common send at the bottom. That might be the only place. Let me look under treatment here and click to send the medication. Let me add a medication, then send. All right, so it may only be in the common send. I did not see it in the regular send in EXE. And actually, I don't see it here either. So that may just be an 11E feature for now. So again, I'm not able to see it in the Common Send either. So I only saw it in my 11E here. Is there any advantage for the web-enabled version the server version doesn't have? So in general, the web browser version is going to be easier to use, less clicks in certain places. Now, there are specific modules that are only available in EXE, like the allergy module. And so, for example, those users would not be able to move to the web browser version. Some features are only available in web browser version, like the dental module. I can't remember what else off the top of my head. So in general, I would say web browser version is better, but some users can't go to the web browser version because the features are not available, such as the allergies. But other than that, it is available. So browser usually has even more capability than EXE. And then we have how to import health information exchange. What is the most popular feature? To import health information, so you have to have a feature activated, and there is a class that you can join, so I'm not going to go into detail, but you can go to the product activation. And you have so the EHX, that's a health information exchange. This has always been available, so that's not a new feature. But if you're on a health information exchange, that allows you to import information. There's also another feature that is new in version 11. I'm not seeing it on my screen here, but it's that Commonwealth. And so that would allow you to connect to like hospitals and be able to import information from that. And so that's the class that they do have available. I think it's called Care Quality and Commonwealth or something like that. So you can join that class for more info on that. That's probably one of the a popular big feature. You have Eva, which is your assistant, kind of like Siri, but for eClinicalWorks. We cover that in our EMR2 class. Any last questions? You can go onto your support portal to see the agenda for the EMR2 or any of the classes that we offer. We're going to finish covering the enhancements and new features that are listed in your release notes. You can activate ECW Speech from your support portal. Any questions on information covered today? All right. So I do see, I have some questions here about speech. I don't have time to go into detail. In fact, we're already 20 minutes over. But it's going to help you dictate the progress note on mobile. Please access your support portal to search for to see if there's any documentation on it. Here, I'll look on that for you. All right, and you'll be able to see some videos there. And again, that's going to allow you to dictate in mobile. All right, I want to thank you all so much for your time and attention, and I hope you all have a great rest of the day. Bye, everyone.